Scrutiny of EU legislative proposals, Schedule B, Commons 2019 432, 438, 467, 477, 550 and 880. It is proposed that these proposals do not warrant further scrutiny. Is that agreed? Agreed. In today's meeting, we welcome Minister of State with Responsibility for Defence, Deputy Paul Keogh, and his officials to the meeting. We also welcome viewers on the Oireachtas website and on Oireachtas TV. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the ongoing concerns and issues with regard to the recruitment and retention of personnel in the Defence Forces. Minister, in October, a delegation from this committee visited the Defence Forces Training School in the Curragh, and we would like to thank your department and the Defence Forces, particularly General Officer Commanding Brigadier General Dignam, for organising and facilitating this worthwhile visit. We were afforded full and open access to the facilities and to personnel from all ranks. We received a tour of the accommodation in the Curragh, whereas the Brigadier General stated he showed us the good, the bad and the ugly. The GOC outlined his ambitious plans for the Curragh. The delegation got the opportunity to see accommodation that has been refurbished and to see some of the accommodation requiring major and urgent upgrading. I can go so far as to say that some of the accommodation for recruits was not fit for purpose, with a severe lack of facilities and poor to bad sanitary conditions. Due to a shortfall in expert personnel and the challenges the GOC faces retaining those with relevant skills and experience, it is difficult to see how and when these plans to improve the standard of accommodation will become a reality. The delegation was also given the opportunity to have open and frank discussions with enlisted personnel and all other ranks, right up to commissioned officers. We heard from all personnel that all areas are affected by the current shortfall in personnel. The Engineering Corps, paramedics and military police are particularly affected by the lack of recruitment and the loss of key personnel. Some of the very positive suggestions we heard from those present to encourage greater recruitment and retention is firstly to engage external experts to report on recruitment and retention, secondly to carry out a full Defence Forces audit of accommodation, focusing on the condition of this accommodation, and lastly the call for a specific pay review board for the Defence Forces. However, all of this being said, the main concern and driver in this regard is the low level of pay. The delegation heard clearly, and we were told repeatedly, of the private sector offering far better remuneration and conditions of employment to the excellently trained and committed women and men of the Defence Forces. Personnel also commented that it is nearly impossible for an enlisted member of the Defence Forces to consider applying for a mortgage or to save a deposit for a home. Pay and allowances must be addressed, and a plan put in place to get this to a level where it demonstrates to the Defence Forces personnel that the state appreciates their vital role. Minister, the sense of enormous pride within this group in being a member of the Irish Defence Forces was heartening, and it was very clear that not one of the enlisted personnel at this meeting wanted to leave the Defence Forces and indeed wanted to further their career. However, they are left with very little choice in a lot of instances. Of course, I say all this on the basis of the visit from our delegation to the Curragh, but from all of the engagement we have had with the Army, the Navy and the Air Corps, the same problems and concerns were raised. We look forward to hearing your opening statement, Minister, and your plans for dealing with these real issues. This committee will continue to pursue these matters and ensure that we have detailed and direct engagement is continued with the Defence Forces. Minister, we will welcome your opening statement and then we will have questions and engagement from committee members. Minister.